The words hit the quiet air like a spark in a dry field, sharp and impossible to ignore. "I can heal your eyes, sir." Daniel Harper turned toward the voice, his clouded, sightless eyes catching nothing but darkness. The park in Seattle's Green Haven buzzed with the hum of a crisp October morning in 2027, leaves crunching underfoot, kids shouting, the distant hum of traffic. His hand tightened on the wooden bench, a familiar anchor in a world he navigated by sound and memory. This was where Eleanor, his fiancée, brought him daily, claiming the fresh air eased his burdens. Lately, though, her touch felt mechanical, her voice distant as she slipped away to take hushed phone calls. Daniel never pried. He was too worn down, too lost in the fog of his blindness. The voice, young, female, steady, came from his right. What stopped his breath wasn't just her words, but the timing. She'd waited, silent, until Eleanor's heels faded into the park's chatter. "What did you say?" Daniel asked, his voice tight, uncertain. "I can heal your eyes," she repeated, clear and unwavering. No trace of doubt or mockery. A bitter laugh escaped him. "Kid, you have no idea what's been tried: surgeries, experimental tech, my own company's failed prototypes." He tilted his head, sensing her closeness, her small frame barely shifting the air. "Why say something like that?" Her pause was heavy. Then she whispered, "Because I heard her. Your fiancée. She said she did it. She said you were finally blind, and she'd get everything." Daniel's chest seized, a crack forming in the fragile trust he'd clung to. The girl, who called herself Lila, spoke again, her voice trembling not with fear, but with a weight too heavy for her years. "I live nearby, in the alley by the cafe when it's cold. I've watched you both for weeks. She leaves you here, talks on her phone, plans. She said she'd make sure you're gone or helpless." Daniel's hands shook on the bench. Eleanor's voice floated back, calling him darling, her perfume sharp as she approached. Lila's shoes scuffed softly as she vanished. Daniel didn't move, his mind locked on the girl's words, a flicker of light piercing his darkness. That night, in his sleek downtown penthouse, Daniel sat in a leather chair, the city's pulse beyond his reach. Lila's words replayed, each one a blade cutting through years of denial. Eleanor hadn't come home, leaving a curt note about a late meeting. He didn't respond. Instead, he turned over every moment with her, the calculated touches, the rehearsed warmth, the way she guided him into dependence. By morning, he dressed alone, fumbling but determined, ignoring the mismatched shoes. Eleanor drove him to the park in silence, her phone buzzing relentlessly. She led him to the bench, muttered about a quick call, and left. Daniel waited, heart pounding, until Lila's soft steps returned. "You came back," he said, relief seeping through. "I promised," she replied, sitting beside him. Her name felt like a lifeline. "Lila, simple, real." "How long have you been watching us?" he asked. "Long enough," she said, no shame, just truth. "She's planning something big. I heard her mention a lawyer, saying you're unfit to lead." Daniel's breath caught. Lila's voice softened. "I don't want anything from you. I just couldn't stay quiet. And I meant I can help. Not with medicine, but I feel things. I sense when people lie, like poison in the air." He didn't scoff. Her certainty anchored him. "What would you do if you could see again?" she asked. The question hit hard. "I'd look at faces," he said, "to see if they matched their words." Lila's silence was heavy. Then she pressed a small, smooth stone into his hand, wrapped in cord. "Hold this when you feel lost," she said. Before he could respond, Eleanor's voice cut through, sharp and sweet. "Time to go, love." Lila whispered, "Don't tell her about me," and was gone. Days blurred into a tense dance. Daniel stopped taking the pills Eleanor's nurse, Clara, pushed on him, hiding them in a cup beneath his chair. A man named Carter, a former fixer turned ally, met him in the park, revealing Eleanor's slow, calculated betrayal offshore accounts. A lawyer named Victor, a plan to declare Daniel incompetent. "She's been at it for years," Carter said, his voice rough with regret. "I used to help people like her. Not anymore." Lila had found Carter, her sharp instincts unearthing allies where Daniel saw only shadows. Together, they built a case: recordings, financial trails, Lila's testimony. Daniel met with a lawyer, Rachel Kane, whose sharp mind cut through Eleanor's web. "She's meticulous," Rachel warned, "but we're faster." The confrontation came swiftly. Eleanor stormed into Daniel's study. Her calm shattered after the board froze her accounts. "You think you've won?" she hissed. "I've exposed you," Daniel replied, playing a recording of her own damning words. Her silence was louder than any denial. She left that night, the house exhaling her absence. The board voted in Daniel's favor, reinstating his control. But victory wasn't the end, it was the spark for something greater. With Lila and Carter, Daniel launched the Beacon Within Foundation in a rundown Seattle community center. It wasn't grand, but it buzzed with life, kids painting murals, families sharing stories, hope rising from neglect. Lila spoke at the opening, her voice small but fierce. "If one kid can whisper truth into darkness, anyone can." Daniel followed, his words steady. "This isn't about me. It's about every voice the world tries to silence." The crowd roared, not with pity, but with respect. His son, Nathan, estranged for years, reached out, their coffee meeting a tentative bridge rebuilt over shared grief and pride. Eleanor's countersuit loomed, a desperate bid for sympathy, but Daniel refused her settlement. He wanted truth, not closure. The media buzzed, but Daniel and Lila's NPR interview shifted the narrative, their story of resilience drowning out Eleanor's lies. The foundation grew, saving a failing school, painting walls with dreams. Daniel stood before a mural of a girl with a ribbon and a man with a medal, his blindness no longer a cage but a lens for clarity. With Nathan and Lila beside him, he whispered, "We didn't just find the light. We became it." What would you do if you uncovered a betrayal this deep? Would you fight for truth or settle for peace? Should Daniel have exposed Eleanor publicly, or was protecting the foundation enough? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more stories that spark debate and ignite hope.